which would have knocked out a cow. If cow, is it hard to knock out a cow?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, right?
Hey guys, it's your best fight friends. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel. Hi, I'm Rachel. That's Steven over there. And this is my favorite segment of the week. Stories of the week. Steven, of course, is a writer over at Heavy. Both cover combat sports for Heavy. And Steven comes on here and tells me what his favorite, biggest, whatever, however he terms it, the story of the week for the week of this week is what, Steven?
I mean, the biggest story of the week is the biggest story of the week. Sometimes I say the story of the week is the biggest story of the week, but it's only the biggest story to me. This is the biggest story of the week. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, number 3 is booked officially by the UFC, July 10th, UFC 264 in Las Vegas, back to having a crowd. Big news in the lightweight division and also just the sport. This is the biggest fight the UFC can put on because it's Conor McGregor, and every fight that they put on with Conor McGregor is the biggest fight that they can put on. So super stoked on that, man. That is some big news, especially with all the controversy that was going on the days prior to the fight announcement, with Dustin calling out Conor for not sending the $500,000 to the charity, the Good Fight Foundation. And then Conor hitting back at him saying, I don't know where that money's going to go. And you're a hillbilly. Now the fight's off, but it's good to see that we got what we wanted. This trilogy, I think that this is kind of the consensus thought, maybe that this is the fight to do. This is my own consensus thought in my own head that this is the fight to do. So excited, man. Super excited.
Do you think that beef was real, like the whole thing, or was this part of the promotion?
I mean, there's always a chance that it's not real. And I'm definitely a big sucker for this stuff anyway. So I'm always thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. But I do actually think that it was real. I think that, dude, like Dustin outed Conor on social media, and that's not like a great thing for people to think that you are like backing out on a promise to donate to a charity that would help underprivileged children. That's not a great look.
Is that a bad look?
A little bit of a bad look. And we know that Conor's very reactive on Twitter. So the way he came out at him, very emotional. To me, it felt genuine. And I also kind of I don't like that kids are not getting money, and hopefully that they will. But what I'm saying is I like now that there's this kind of animosity between the two. For me, this is a little more exciting. The last fight, it was nice to see like the camaraderie almost between the two. But I mean, the best, most entertaining Conor McGregor fights are when there's a little bit of heat. And I think there's going to be a little heat going on July 10th.
What do you make of Dustin Poirier's public apology about the matter?
Yeah, I thought that was cool, Finn, man. And I think that it was good for him to bring that up, because I mean, that conversation definitely could have happened behind closed doors between the two teams. I think it was big of him to apologize. I haven't really seen Conor respond to it yet. And I don't think this is going to really deflate too much of the animosity that's built up. Who knows? We'll see. But I'm expecting a different sort of relationship between the two moving forward to this fight on July 10th.
Here's what I said. I'll just tell you what I suspect. I suspect that the public apology was conditional, and that Conor threw his weight around behind the scenes to get Dustin Poirier to publicly apologize. Because in my view, I feel like I think it shows that Poirier is a big enough person, like you said. I think it makes him look good again. But I think that, like, I don't know he had anything to apologize for, because Conor's the one that made it public, and then Dustin's saying that behind the scenes they're ghosting him and his team. What's Poirier supposed to do? I mean,
the argument could be Poirier could have sent a couple more emails,
Telegram?
Reached out to Conor via DM himself, things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, there's an argument on both sides of it. I think that anytime you air public or a private laundry publicly, there's going to be a debate back and forth if you should have done that or not. At the end of the day, it honestly just made the fight way more exciting. So I'm okay that Dustin did it.
Are you ready to give a way too early prediction?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's so far away. I know.
So far away. I need to see a few more Instagram photos of Conor McGregor flexing before I can really make my proper prediction.
I need to see how angry, if he can hold this level of anger for what? It's to July 10th. For right now, it's April 15th or so.
Yeah.
That's a long time to hold on to that anger.
I mean, he's done. He's held on to anger with Nate Diaz and Khabib for years. So,
well, I'm looking forward to the fight. I definitely think that that was the biggest story of the week. But Steven, my story of the week is something I didn't even write about this week yet. But it's the story of the week to me, I think, because I'm excited about Jake Paul versus Ben Askren in a boxing ring. Man, I cannot wait for this fight. Now, I will say that I have been keeping up with some of the footage out there available. And I will say this. You know that I've flipped on this fight, right? At the beginning, I was like, there's no way Askren can beat Jake Paul in a boxing ring. But lately, I've been like, you know what? I've been flipping on it. And the more I see of Ben Askren, both in his how confident he's been, but also I've noticed even in training videos where he was purposely looking bad, I could tell that he kind of knew what he was doing as far as boxing goes. And recently they've over at Fight Hub, you can watch footage of him hitting mitts, and he looks pretty good. He looks a lot better than he's ever looked before. And I'm like, man, he knows how to not, he made a living off not getting hit before. Now all he has to worry about are 2 fists instead of fists, elbows, knees, feet, all that stuff. And now I feel like he's been putting in the work. I think it's still, you know, I just cannot wait for this fight. I can go back and forth in my head, but what do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I was impressed with that. Like the open workout footage of Ben Askren hitting mitts. I think, like you said, I think that's the best he's looked that we've seen through all like the videos that have been released. I've been picking Ben Askren for most of this journey, if you can call it that. I just think it's competition experience. It's just, man, like you can't even compare the two. Sure, can Paul throw like a better jab and cross, hook, uppercut? Maybe, yeah, maybe it's a little more, he's more technical. I think that he probably is. But I mean, there's so much more, as you know, Kelsey, that goes into a fight, even just a boxing match. There's so much more. There's so many intangibles, like being under those bright lights, fighting a guy that's not going to be put away, or like a Nate Robinson that just charges at you with his chin out. I mean, there's way more different things that Paul's going to have to deal with that he's never dealt with before. Ben Askren's been in the cage with Robbie Lawler, Jorge Masvidal. You know, like, man, there's no real comparison to their competition experience. I think that's what's going to put Ben Askren over the edge, and I think he's going to get that win. What's it going to be? I do think he might TKO him. I don't know. Like Ben, I think his prediction since the beginning has been a 7th round TKO victory. I think that's a very fair assessment and prediction. Maybe that's my prediction also for the fight.
So it seems like, Steven, you're excited about the fight. You know that I'm excited about the fight. And you know what? I think who's most excited for the fight? I think Rachel is most excited about the fight.
All right, guys. I'm here because I wanted to share, because I'm new to the MMA world. And so I wanted to share my initial thoughts when this fight got made, because I didn't know who Ben Askren was. And so when the fight got made, I was like, who's this guy? And I went to Twitter, and the MMA community was like, they were not high on this guy being the opponent for Jake Paul right out of the gate. And it was like some kind of, I mean, it wasn't vicious, but it was a lot of shade thrown at Askren by his own community coming into this. In particular, some gifs of him striking in a very loosey-goosey kind of way. But what happened is, as we progressed through all of this, is the way I've changed. Because I went with the MMA community. I was like, oh no, like, you know, Jake Paul's going to win. But I went through the progressed through, and what it was is the way that Ben Askren has carried himself, his confidence. Like, he seems kind of like the man in this whole like battle back and forth. And I was like, you know what? I think that he has it. And then Kelsey talking about this, him being that he's a trained fighter. So he's going to know what it feels like to get hit. He's going to know what it's going to be like for somebody to come at him. He's not going to react in the ring the way Nate Robinson did. And so I think that he actually like has the upper hand. Now, the only question that I have about this is that Jake Paul is the A-side fighter here. So usually A-side fighters don't pick an opponent that they're not super confident they're going to beat. You know, Floyd Mayweather wasn't picking. He picked Conor McGregor, because he knew that he could win that fight. So that's the only thing that I question. But otherwise, I think that I'm really I think Ben Askren is going to do this. He's going to pull it off.
I think from a strategic standpoint, if you're Jake Paul and you want to get some notoriety as a real fighter and you're looking at these MMA guys, I think Ben Askren was the perfect pick for him, because Ben Askren is a well-known fighter in the MMA community. He also can't really strike all too well at all. So these are like the two perfect things that you need to have the chance to beat a guy like this and also have it be a big name. Like Ben Askren, even if you're not a hardcore fan, you know Ben Askren's name because he's attached to Jorge Masvidal and that crazy knockout that most people have seen, right? That right there is like the perfect mix if you're Jake Paul and you're like, yo, I need a legitimate fighter to get on my resume. So then now, because remember, his big goal here is to call out Conor McGregor and fight Conor McGregor. He wants to fight Nate Diaz. I think he told you that, Kelsey, in an interview, that he wants to fight Nate Diaz. So the biggest step for that is you need to get a win over a big name and an actual fighter. And then that's Ben Askren for you. One other thing too I wanted to note with this fight is people forget how tough Ben Askren is. The narrative going in here is that Jake Paul is going to knock out Ben Askren, right? Well, we forget how tough Ben Askren is. Remember that fight with Robbie Lawler where he got Ben Askren was dumped on his head. He got just pummeled on probably 5-6 unanswered blows. Ben Askren, like a zombie, gets back up and is able to put Lawler against the fence and able to finish him with that bulldog choke. People forget how tough he is just because he got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal, which would have knocked out a cow. Is it hard to knock out a cow?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, right?
Probably. You should try it.
I should try it. Yeah. I had a question for you guys. What do you guys think? If Ben Askren gets his victory over Jake Paul, does this kind of erase the taste in the MMA community's mouth of Ben Askren getting knocked out by Jorge Masvidal? Does this kind of avenge his loss a little bit to Jorge? What do you think?
Absolutely. I've actually seen this argument already multiple times on social media, even memes about. I saw a meme just today where basically supplanted their faces where Masvidal was getting knocked out, in that image of the knee. And basically it's that if he beats Jake Paul, and it sounds like all three of us expect him to beat Jake Paul, which is surprising because I think it's a really interesting fight. However, we just happen to all agree on that. Then, yeah, I think it changes that and it puts him back in a super positive light forever.
Yeah. I am curious what he would do with that,
Bitcoin.
in his career, because I don't think of Ben Askren. Is Ben Askren fighting?
He's past. I
mean,
he could fight. But it seems like
So it's much better for Jake Paul to win because he's at the beginning of his career, and this does huge things for him should he win, as the solidifying or legitimizing him as a fighter. But Ben Askren, I'm not sure where it happens. I mean, would he try to some crazy fight with Masvidal? We get another
maybe
idea from somebody before, I think.
How about this super exciting storyline of Ben Askren coming in, beating Jake Paul, and now it's up to the older brother, Logan Paul, to beat Ben Askren, and that's the next fight.
And then the winner has to fight Kevin Owens in a steel cage at WrestleMania. What?
Or Floyd Mayweather gets the winner. We might get Floyd Mayweather versus Ben Askren. How about that?
I'm looking for that pay-per-view, Floyd. I paid for that. Huh?
Yeah, I know. Where is that?
Well, guys, this was a lot of fun. I think you said this was the perfect mix between Askren and Paul for this perfect fight. And this was the perfect mix for Stories of the Week this week. He's Steven. That's Rachel. I'm Kelsey. And this is Real Talk.